Welcome back to the Dad Bod Pod. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Still kind of getting used to this podcast. Trying some different things. I got the mic today. I'm trying. Just been kind of playing around a little bit with some different software. I'm using my phone a lot. Using the mic today. We'll see how it goes. Today's topic is our church started doing, so they do this thing called the Star Word, and it started 3 years ago, and I'd never heard of it before. Wasn't familiar with it. Thought it was a pretty cool idea. Really, the first word I got I was really trying to figure out how I was going to incorporate that, or how that word was gonna kind of show up for me. And oddly enough, so that would have been in 2024. Yeah, and looking back at 2024, it was pretty amazing how that word showed up in a big way, especially at the end of the year. And so the next year, we did the Star Word beginning of 2025, and I was excited for it. I was curious. I wanted to get my word and really see how that word would kind of present itself to me. And that word, it was a much easier word than the year prior. And I wasn't really sure how it was working in my life, and I kind of had forgotten about it. And something reminded me of it, and I started thinking back on it, and there it was again. It was there, and I don't really feel like I was even focusing on it. I don't know if it just kind of subconsciously I was working on it. And after I kind of refocused my attention to it for the rest of the year, it definitely showed itself to me in some more profound ways, and I really focused on that word, and ended the year feeling pretty good about that word and how the year went. And so fast forward to this year, beginning of this year, really, really excited about it. I couldn't wait for the Star Word just because of the last 2 years and how it really affected. I just could never believe the type of effect that it has had on my life in the last 2 years. And so this year, the word that I received was Raison D'etre. It's a French word, and what it means is it's the most important reason or purpose for someone or something's existence. So that was deep. I got that word, and I had to look it up, and I had to figure out what it was. I had never heard it before. It's the reason for being or reason to be. And so I've been thinking about that. I've had that word kind of simmering for about a week or so. We did this on January 4th. And I've been giving a lot of thought to it, and I would say that my reason for being or reason to be would be a father. And I mean, that's the most important thing in my life and my reason for existence. And I kind of started already doing a lot of work in that within the last 12 to 15 months. And just kind of taking a step back. The end of 2024, the last few months of 2024, I really was going through a hard time, and had a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger. Was really trying to serve from a empty cup. There was nothing in my cup. As a father, as a husband, as a friend, was not a good friend, father, husband, son to anybody. And I hit rock bottom one day and decided that, without going into too much detail, I had, really, and my wife kind of helped me. We had a conversation one night, and it really hit me that I needed to make some changes, and I knew I needed to make some changes because I wasn't being a good father to my two boys, and there's already some challenges there with my oldest, who's got ADHD. He's a great kid, really smart, and we've gone through some tough stretches that's really challenged me, and I got to a point where it was all just too much work, life, and it was really just focusing on, how do I get through every day? How do I survive? And my anxiety was so bad that it was affecting my my relationship with them. And I was not, I was finding myself not wanting to participate in things or do things because my anxiety was so bad. I couldn't see anything else other than that. And there was a few different things that probably were the turning point, but I realized that I had to get myself right, and I had to do something to make some changes. So I was there, so I was present for them, and I could be the father that they needed me to be. And when I was growing up, my dad was an alcoholic. Didn't have much of a relationship with my dad. When I did, I would see him on the weekend, and he was busy just drinking himself to where he was, whatever demons he was dealing with. So that was kind of what our relationship was like, and I always told myself that I wanted to. That was always an example for me how to not be a dad, and so I wanted to make sure I never made that same mistake. And so I've always been really careful with alcohol. I've never had an issue with it. I've always been able to socially drink, like the occasional drink here and there. But I've really gotten to a point where I've just decided it's not really something that I really enjoy at all anymore. If I just have a little, I like bourbon, so if I just have a little drink of bourbon, I just don't really even like the way it makes me feel, even the next day. So it's really not even something that, moving forward that I really want a part of my life. Maybe here and there I may have, socially at a party or something, I may have a beer or whatever, but I've really been trying to find ways to, I have a small bourbon collection. It's nothing great. But I had some bottles that were unopened, and so this past Christmas I found ways to kind of gift those and kind of get some of those bottles out, but without going too far down that rabbit hole, I realized at the end of 24, as 24 was ending, I needed help, so I started therapy. I was talking to a therapist for the first time in my life, and really was the first point in my life where I was asking for help. I always, thought it was a strength to try to figure it out on my own. It was a weakness to ask for help. That started the path to really kind of give me some tools to understand, my anxiety. I just decided I needed to make a change professionally, and started looking into some options for that. And so those two things, really started the foundation to get to a place where my cup was full and I could serve, my two boys, my wife. More importantly, those were the two areas that I really needed to, because I wasn't a good husband, father. I had a short fuse. I was very, very angry. I would get mad. My anxiety, I would have okay days, or I would have maybe a really good day, and then I would have a lot of bad days. And, so realized that, I've got things that I need to do in my life. I need to get outside. I need the sun. I need to get exercise. I need to be careful with social media, the scrolling on there, getting on there, and that can give me some anxiety. And so I find myself, if I'm on there too much, I start feeling a certain way. So I've really, then there for a while, I really just wasn't on social media at all. And then, I realized that that's not necessarily the way to go, because there's a lot of great things from social media. You get to stay connected with people that you don't see. So there's a lot of good things about it. So had to kind of reset my relationship with social media and got in a better place. But for 25, really, it took me most of 25 to really kind of work through a lot of things and reset and really just kind of simplify things in my life to where I could really just kind of continue working through, a lot of my issues and get to a place where, I was there for my family. And, I feel like I made some really good strides, but, mid-year, I still had some anxiety that I was trying to work through, and it was kind of starting to rear its head again. The end of the school year for 25, so in May, was really rough for my oldest son. We were, come to find out his medication, we needed to adjust his medication, and so he was getting in trouble a lot, and it was really bad. And that gave me a lot of anxiety. This summer was pretty rough for our family, and trying to work through that. And then when the school year started, my anxiety was really. I started thinking about how the school ended, and so. But this summer we got my oldest son on some different medicine, and it did wonders for him, and we noticed a lot of progress, a lot of change for the rest of the summer. And so the school year started, and my anxiety was really bad, and so I realized I needed to do something else. So I started looking into medication options, and I started doing that, and that was the last piece of the puzzle for me. And it was rough. There was a turning point there where I really didn't know if I could do it. The start of that medicine was brutal. I felt awful and was tired. And so there was a few moments where I didn't know if I was on the right medication, but I stuck with it, and it got better and better. And gosh, I mean it's been life changing for me since September. I feel like a completely different person. I feel like I'm back to to somebody I haven't been in a long time, and my wife has noticed things. Obviously, I'm able to listen a lot better and not interrupt so much. That was always a big deal. I was constantly interrupting. And that was something that I didn't anticipate, was the medicine helping with that, and just slowing everything down in my mind where I could listen. I have a lot more patience with the boys. I'm happier. I have a lot of things. God's been really pushing me towards this point, and it's been pretty amazing where I am now. And I would have these days prior to this, and I would feel great. And so I'd be like, okay, this is great. Like, let's do this. Let's do all these things. And then the next day would come, or the next couple of days would come, or the next week, and I would feel terrible, and I would have all this anxiety. And so now, these days are every day. I feel great every day. And I'm making sure that I get outside, and my youngest loves to be outside and loves to play catch, and so I've really made an effort to do that as much as I can, and not, even when I don't want to necessarily do it, I want to tell him yes. And because that was something that I never did as a kid. I never played catch with my dad. My dad was never there to play catch with me, so I want to be there and be that, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So really just trying to be in the moment of everything. We went on a vacation on Thanksgiving, a short vacation. And vacations for me, I felt myself having a hard time being in the moment, because I would be so worried about this thing, or it would be hard for me to just kind of slow everything down and enjoy the moment, or driving in the car, a long ways would give me some anxiety with them. And so really, for the first time in a while, that trip was really enjoyable, and I was just able to just let go of worries and really just take it moment by moment. And I'm really trying to do that, and trying to stoke up these, at this age that the boys are at right now. The youngest is 6, the oldest is 9. The 6-year-old is really, whereas, me and my wife are really his world. So really just trying to soak that up as much as we can right now and be present in the moments and trying not to worry so much about things that don't matter. And just really, so yeah, I think this star word is a reminder for me that, I'm on the right path. I need to keep, every day, the day I think I've got it figured out, I don't know anything. So, I'm still learning. Having kids is very humbling. You think you figured out something, and then they do a 180 on you. So, but I really love this star word. I'm excited about the rest of 26 and seeing where this leads me. God is amazing. His sense of humor is funny. To get this word, really just, and what was crazy about that day too is I've been reading the Pivot Year, and every day there's a passage for 365 days, and it's a great, it's been great reading that, and the passage from that day was pretty profound. And then, getting that word the same day, I'll read the passage. So it was day 12. And so this is what I read, and this was before that morning of getting the word. So here's the passage. Heal your relationship to the now, to the moment, to the liminal space in which your eyes can contract and see fear, or expand and realize that you are one particle in the massive daydream, and without you the fabric of the world would not hold the way it does. Release yourself into the dreamscape and follow your heart's deepest calling, as it's leading you to the actions that will continue to weave your life into the story of humanity. Without you being here, nothing, not one single thing, would be precisely the same. You are an integral, irreplaceable thing. You came here to do what only you can. Pretty amazing. And I got the word, the star word that morning. And so God was, I made a post about this, but he's been kind of doing a lot of things subtly with me, kind of getting me to this point. But I think he was kind of done with that and said, here it is. I'm gonna throw it in your face. This is, it was pretty incredible. So, thanks for listening to the podcast. Really enjoying doing this so far. This is, something that I've wanted to kind of touch on a little bit, and didn't really know how to, and thought this was a great opportunity to kind of lead into that. So, hope you have a great day. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks for listening.